Okay, moving right along. We are opening the city council meeting and we will now give the pledge of allegiance. So if you'll please stand and point yourself towards Katie or Joel's flag. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Sadie, if you could give me roll call, please.
Counselor Dunsmuir,
Here.
Counselor Gates, Counselor Hughes,
Here.
Counselor Lidkey,
Here.
Counselor Strobel,
Here.
Counselor Tenbush,
Here.
Mayor Drinkline.
Here, thank you very much. Okay, we are at the first citizen and community group comment. Do I have any in the lineup?
Yes, we have Bennett Johnson coming on.
All right. Bennett, are you on there?
Just one moment.
Okay.
And it says Ken, I believe it's going to be Bennett.
Okay.
But if you could just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Is she there?
I don't think she's muted. She might need to unmute herself.
Sorry
There we
about
go.
that.
There
My
we
name is Bennett Johnson, not Ken Johnson. And the first thing that I wanted to say is I wanted to thank you for the grant that we received from the city that was unexpected. Even though Sean had talked to me about it, I thought you were taking $2,000 and splitting it among all the restaurants. So I was pretty shocked when we got that check. So thank you. Everything helps. It's been an extremely difficult and testing our resolve year for everybody. But so I have 3 different presentations that I want to do for the city council, or 3 different statements that I want. And this is the first of the 3. So hopefully I'll be able to come to the next 2 meetings. So I've talked to some of you about this in the past. I want to urge you, the mayor and the city council, to develop a business plan or a strategic plan for the city of Estacada. I've been saying this to mayors and council people and virtually anybody who'll listen to me since we opened Fearless Brewing Company in Estacada more than 18 years ago. And so here briefly are my reasons. As our city leaders, you have the responsibility to lead. And voters have the responsibility to hold you accountable for your achievements or your lack of achievements. A carefully crafted plan with defined strategy, goals, action steps is needed in order to evaluate your accomplishments or anybody's accomplishments. So this is also one of the reasons that many organizations fail to create a plan, because without a defined vision and measurable goals, it's impossible, or at least difficult, to hold anyone accountable. So they just choose not to put a plan together, and there's no way to say, hey, you didn't get the stuff done. Also, without a strategic plan, you are just reacting instead of directing. You're reacting to circumstances instead of directing effort. Staff or citizens bring issues to the council and you respond to those issues. Without a plan, you are more or less just floating in the wind. And a strategic business plan is the foundation of reacting to issues and problems. A plan provides the framework with which to evaluate specific issues and make decisions regarding deployment of your precious resources. As an example, I was hired a number of years ago to turn around a company, a pretty large company. First thing we did was we put together a business plan. So we turned around a $2.5 million loss to a net profit within a 9-month period of time. That's the kind of power that happens when everybody is pulling in the same direction. So another example of that is the Estacada Chamber of Commerce. So that organization was kind of on its last legs, and the board of directors, along with the members' participation, created a business plan for the Chamber of Commerce. And we recognized that our true purpose was to help businesses achieve growth and success. And the chamber was actually at the time involved in many things that didn't really fall into that category. So as we deployed our limited resources, we evaluated every purchase, every activity through that particular lens. And if an activity wasn't going to help achieve that result, then we either stopped doing it or we reduced the resources that were going towards supporting it. So another thing is a written strategic business plan is a necessary communication tool. Without it, you cannot be sure everyone has the same vision. Plus, over time, an unwritten vision becomes more and more murky. You may think everybody's on the same page, but that's the kind of like the game of telephone, where you just are wishful thinking to assume that everyone has the same vision unless that vision has been committed to writing. A strategic plan is the foundation to a budget. You cannot make budget decisions until you know how the budget supports the vision and plan, not the opposite, which often.
We lose her?
Her internet might be a little wonky out there.
Is she still on there, Sadie, or did
She
she drop?
still shows on there, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like she's muted.
I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can get you.
Ken, are you on the internet?
Off.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, good. A strategic business plan is the foundation of your organizational structure and your staff positions. Unless you have a plan in place, you don't know what kind of org structure you need. You don't know what kind of skills you require to achieve that plan. And also, you owe staff a strategic business plan. A plan serves as the foundation for directing their effort and evaluating their effectiveness. Without a plan, they are just reacting to the day-to-day instead of executing against a vision. It's the job of leadership to create the vision, create a plan of action, and then execute against the plan. My next statement is in no way meant to demean staff, but it is the job of elected leaders to direct staff, not the reverse. The city council should be planning and directing in the future for the future of Estacada. That is the job that we elected you to do. You should be providing staff with your vision and asking staff how they plan to achieve that vision. You should be setting the priorities on how tax dollars are spent, and staff should be submitting action steps and a budget that supports that vision. And lastly, it's, in my opinion, almost magical at how, if you write down what your visions and goals are, how things get done. So I've witnessed achievements that have seemed impossible before a plan was developed. Business plans are powerful because they get people all pulling in the same direction. And when actions are aligned to a vision, the results can be astounding. So I have a short presentation on how to write a good business plan on PowerPoint. If you ever are interested, I'd be happy to go through it with you at your convenience. And that's it.
Well, we appreciate you, Bennett, and I think that's something we need to look at. Maybe we can contact you in the future and you could give it all to us in a presentation. Would that be possible?
Absolutely.
All right, let's, I guess I'll direct staff to maybe contact Bennett and see if there's a way we can hold a group meeting to go over the points of a strategic plan and see what we can do. Does that sound like something everybody be interested in? I mean, I'm game for this. I think this is a great thing. I think we do need direction and we need to focus on what we're going to get done. So this is a good way to do that. So staff, that's what we'll look at in the future. And if maybe you could find some time to get us all together in one place, we could do this. And thank you again for that. Is there anybody else on the line?
No, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, great. We'll move right along to the consent agenda. You've all had a chance to view it, read it, understand it. Are there any questions on the consent agenda?
Not in particular to the consent agenda, but I was wondering if it was possible for me to add an agenda item to council business. That would be agenda item D. if it's possible to just add a discussion at the request of the fire board transition team, or the board of the transition for the fire department. They'd like us to have a conversation, but not necessarily make any decisions tonight. And I'd like to just have a conversation regarding signage in city easements or right of ways, specifically for public entities or, public entities that are related to our city services. So if we could please add that to the agenda, that is all I'm asking.
All right, great. Staff, is that something we can do to add to our council business at the end of that? Would that be possible? Okay, great. Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you. Okay, now that we've done that, do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a
I'll
first. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Joel is seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. Moving right along, we are at department and committee reports. So we don't have a sheriff's office report, I don't think right now, do we? Except for what's in our.
Yeah, just what was included in the packet.
All right, great, thank you. Committee and commission liaisons, I know you've all been COVID lockdown, so has anybody got anything outside of that maybe you had a conversation? Okay, we have a few, so I'm gonna start off with the hands raised. Joel, let's hit you first.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Charity and I's visit to the water and sewer plant. It was quite enlightening and had a lot of different things that I wasn't expecting to find. And it gave me some good direction that would allow us to work over the next few years on. So with the water, it looks like for the most part, we're going to be fine for a short period, but we do have a limited capacity of what we can do on there. And so in order to upgrade to capacity, there's some pretty big items that need to be put in place. I know some of the items they're talking about was, Charity, what was that big machine in the center called that kind of has a mixer to it? Do you remember the name of it?
Oh, at the water plant. Not at
The
the
big kind of
plant.
multi-piece filter thing, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember what it was called by chance?
That I don't.
It's in my notes. I won't dig it
Yeah.
down for you guys, but anyways, there's a very large one of those would you needed to replace and kind of up our water system another 500,000 gallons production a day, and that's going to cost we have no idea, but anywhere between $500 and $1 million for it, as for all the changes. They are looking at trying to get some UV integrations to help reduce the chlorine required in the pipes. But our limited capacity and the amount of growth that we have coming from housing is definitely a concern that really was at the top of my list. So that would mean that if we continue at the growth that we're going, that if we don't plan to put some changes into the water system soon and increase capacity, we might be kind of at that 80%, which is not kind of getting us in a kind of dangerous area. So any spikes would push us over. So that's one area. The biggest concern I had though was at the sewage plant. We are at capacity for the liquid flow sewage. And there was a need that they had mentioned there about a kind of a large truck that they would use to remove solids from the plant and be able to take them out during winter and dump them out. Because I guess the truck that they have now to remove solids, currently, if you take it out into dump it in the fields, right now they would get stuck because the fields are too soft. But if they had this new truck that they were looking at, it has bigger tires, so they can take it out in the middle of the winter and dump solids, which would help move solids a lot more and reduce that concern. But the fact is we are at capacity for the liquid waste. And I asked him, I said, what happens if we rise above that capacity? And he says, well, the liquids would have to start bypassing, start bypassing the sewer treatment plant and start going and dumping back into the river, not fully treated. And that's an issue on EPA. It's an issue for our rivers. That's an issue for, you just imagine the implications of that. It's fines, it's dirty, it's gross. And so we need to really take a serious look at the water treatment plant and try to put that higher on our priority before it becomes a serious issue, beyond just the fact of, the obvious dumping into our river. I mean, we have a lot of growth coming and we don't have the capacity for it. I know that there's a 5-year plan for it, but we got to figure out something in the short term. So.
Well, I think we are moving our sewer plant here relatively soon. So that's going to be a whole new sewer plant with all the latest and greatest. I think that's going to solve our sewer problem. I don't know what time span we're talking about here, but that's something that we can take a look at. But I think this needs more discussion. I would think that in our retreat, maybe we could bring this in the retreat and kind of discuss this. Would that be okay with staff?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
There was a lot more information. I think I also mentioned it to Denise too, to try to bring it up.
I have it on there already on our retreat.
Yep. I just
information.
wanted to
Okay,
give a
great.
little report. Charity, did I miss anything that was kind of critical that they may have mentioned? during
No, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me too was just kind of like what you mentioned at the end, was just more the red flag of the treatment plant and then their ability to offload the solid waste in the winter time and the fact that they're already at capacity. So I said, well, what happens when 100, 200 more people move in? And he's like, well, in the winter, we just can't offload it. And then we'll get fined and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, okay, so this is your number one priority, is to get this vehicle to offload this in the winter. And he said, yes, that would be number one. But that was, if anything needed immediate attention, it was that vehicle in order to offload the waste in the wintertime. They can do it in the summer because the ground's nice and solid, but in the winter they need the special tires to get through the muck in order to offload it. So anyway.
On a much lighter note, though, I don't think I'll be eating any chocolate pudding for a long time. You just can't unsee something.
All right. Well, that puts a
Take a tour.
beautiful image in my mind, Joel. Thank you.
Yes. I got pictures.
All right. Katie, I think you're up next.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak about the fire board without talking necessarily about what we're going to be talking about later on during our council business. But it's hard to believe that the election was less than 3 months ago. If you have seen all of the changes and all of the energy and all of the action going on at the fire board, seems like it was forever ago because there's been a lot of changes. First of all, really exciting. We have a completely dedicated subcommittee that is dedicated to the transition from Clackamas Fire back to Estacada Independent Fire District. And that transition team is meeting on a regular basis, and they've got a lot of goals and they've got a lot of information, and it's really moving along. And so I want to thank everybody who's a part of that transition team. They're doing amazing things right now. That being said, on Thursday, our fire board, the fire board for the Estacada Fire District, did hire an interim fire chief to help with that transition. I believe his name is Steve Abel. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm almost sure that that's his name. He comes highly recommended. They spoke really amazingly about his accomplishments in other fire districts and how he's been an interim fire chief for other neighboring fire districts like the Hoodland Fire District. He was an interim fire chief for at one point. So I want to welcome him. I think today was his first day. Welcome to Estacada, and we wish you the best of luck. And we're really looking forward to working with you in the future. That being said, something slightly related to what we're going to be talking about later is that the volunteer fire program is starting to accept applications. If you are interested in volunteering for the new Estacada Fire District, please contact the Estacada Fire District and ask them for an application and get the information, because right now is the time to start applying. We want to start getting people fitted for turnouts. We want people to start training. We want people to, we really want people to be a part of the new fire district by the time we transition from Clackamas to Estacada. And right now, I don't know if this has been set in stone, but right now the goal that everybody has set is they're looking at July 1st being the Estacada Fire District. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. I encourage everybody to pay attention to what's going on because it seems like there's daily changes. A lot of exciting stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll try to get you the right answers or hooked up to the right people. But I just want to say welcome to our new interim fire chief. And thank you to everybody on the Estacada Fire Board and the transition board as well. You guys are doing amazing things. And if you need anything else from the city, just reach out. So thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Katie. Thank you. Okay, anybody else got anything they'd like to add during this time?
Yeah, I actually have something.
Okay.
Sorry, I was a little late. My wife started a new job and she's still not home. Luckily, the exchange student is watching Holland for me. So I did meet with we had a meeting with the DEC, went really well. Talked about a new project coming into Estacada, pretty excited about. We have another meeting on January 28th. It was kind of a two-part meeting, so I'll update everybody else more after that meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Anybody else for that? No, not seeing any hands. Okay. We are now at the city manager's report.
So I'm gonna just list down a few things that I have for our retreat. So if I don't hit something that you are interested in, if you could tell me tonight, that would be great. Or if you can email me within the next couple days, because we want to get the agenda put together. So the topics for the retreat that I have is infrastructure, and that includes the wastewater treatment plant, a new high-level water reservoir, the Hillway connection, Wade Creek Park Phase 3, and Lakeshore water access. Those are the projects we're doing now, but we'll talk about we'll have our engineer there and talk about all of our master plans and where they are and where he is on the wastewater treatment plant facility study. I think he's going to be done by then, so that'll be good news.
Denise,
Sure.
do you mind adding the Main Street project to that bullet point?
The what?
Main Street?
The Main Street,
Pikes Road.
the urban renewal project.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
thank you.
Let me write. I don't want to forget it. And then I have the council rules and policies. And I have housing. There's a lot of different topics for housing. So the equity, the issues, the committee that we want to have, the HNA, the completion of the HNA, which we are just going out for bid now. Matt's working on a vertical housing ordinance. So there's a lot of components in that, and we'll discuss all of those. And then the emergency operations plan update. We probably won't begin updating it, but Melanie's going to have a timeline and go over the process of updating that. The TGM grant, we'll talk about that we're going out for bid right now on our TSP upgrades, which is our transportation system plan. We are redoing our transportation system plan, and it's time with all this growth because it's really changed the views of where your minor collectors are and your major collectors and that type of thing. So let me see what else. Let me see. That's what I have right now. I mean, there's of course the goal setting, the other things, but this is the additional things that we'll talk about.
Okay, great. Can you speak to the email that you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
talking
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay,
I've got a couple more things. I just want to remind everyone of the DEI trainings. It's the 3 parts. It's important to attend all of the parts. They're February 1st, March 15th, and March 29th from 6 to 8. And we'll be sending out more
those dates
information
again?
on that and the Zoom link and all that.
1:15:29.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah. And what was the time on those?
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
then the public works crew and plant operators are getting their COVID vaccines this week under the 1B essential employees. The school opened today, K through 1. It went very well, and the school staff will be beginning this week, will be getting their vaccines. They're doing them in order of contact with kids. So the K through 1 staff along with, there's 40 kids at the high school right now, are first in line, and then they'll do the 2nd through 5th, because those are supposed to start back February 8th and then work up from there. So we're going to have a survey going out in the water bills and online at the end of the week, just asking people about their contact with City Hall and doing business at City Hall, and asking if there's been issues and any suggestions on making things better. So that'll be going out. The survey to the businesses has gone out regarding the needs for funding, and we've received 20 replies. Matt was kind of disappointed, but I was kind of excited that we're going to give it another week, and then we'll be contacting people and ask them to respond. And we're just going to give them, because it did just go out. So we're going to be patient. Okay. And then today we got the mayor had called me, I think it was last week, because the county had contacted him about the red fox. And so he gave me the name of the person that contacted him. I'm going to email here. And the county is interested in buying the red fox. Okay, now I can't find my. I'm going to kind of read this email we received at 4:00, and I found it interesting because it was on the 5:00 news then. And so it's like we only knew about it an hour before the news, but it's from the Clackamas County Housing. And they are looking at the Oregon Community Foundation is governing what's called a project turnkey funding. And that they are looking at, well, they've given them the go ahead to pursue the purchase and sell agreement with the owner of the Red Fox Motel in Estacada. And so this is what is going to happen there. Initially, the motel could become transitional shelter for residents of Estacada and other rural towns and cities such as Sandy and Malala. The first priority for access would be to shelter rural residents impacted by wildfire. The second priority would be for rural residents impacted in a way that has resulted in them becoming homeless through job loss due to COVID closures. Transitional shelter has a strong staffing presence, and the intention is to provide permanent housing as soon as possible for those needing this temporary assistance. Down the road, in a few years, the property could be used to develop workforce housing. This type of housing is affordable to households earning 60% of the area median income. For example, a family of 2 earning $44,220 annually would qualify to live in workforce affordable housing with a rent of $1,036 for a 1-bedroom or $1,243 for a 2-bedroom unit. The planning process for this future workforce housing development would involve your community and align with your.
Oh, hold on, Denise.
Yeah.
Where did you get this email? Because whoever sent this email is flip-flopping words like workforce and workforce and affordable aren't the same type of housing. I'm curious who sent the email.
So do you want to know who sent it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jill Smith, the Director of Housing and Housing Services at Clackamas County.
Can you forward me that email?
I'm going to forward this to all of you.
Yeah, and I know that
reason
I met with I think his name is Vishnu, and at the time Dan Chandler. This was back 2 years ago, and before this was even talked about or like a serious thing. But I'd be curious to talk to Jill about it, just because I know tax credit 60% AMI, but a 2-person household earning 44,000 is 2 people working not full-time hours at minimum wage.
Right.
I mean, anyone working full-time hours at minimum wage is going to be overqualified at that point.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know because it hit the news and I didn't want you guys to, so I will forward this to you. She is going to meet with the mayor real soon here to talk to him about some issues. So, but I wanted to get it out to you because I didn't know it had got to the news, and I got an email from someone saying, so what motel in Estacada is being purchased? And I kind of wanted to say McCrae's, but I didn't. I said Fox.
Mayor, do you mind if I participate on that meeting with you and Jill?
I would.
Yeah, I think that would be okay.
I would like to be included in that too, because based on some of that, I have some grave reservations about some of that. So.
Well, I think
it is an outright use, so
Yeah.
You know, but when they start remodeling, we are going to be able to, when they're using it as transitional housing, we can't really hold them to any new standards, but when they remodel, we can certainly they have new standards that they would have to do for the downtown.
What,
And I
Denise,
think
what
this
did you
first
say there
meeting,
was?
I'd like to meet with her, get a feel for what we're going on, and set up a meeting where we can all be involved. Would probably be a
good.
better way
Yeah, she
to
wants
accomplish
to come
this.
make a presentation to the council, so we'll
Yeah,
get that
yeah.
set up.
So we'll get around the first meeting, and then I'll bring her in for a kind of a roundtable with all of us.
But Katie, I'm going to send all of you guys this information. So.
And does she have her contact information in that email as well? So we can
Yes.
contact her. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And that's all I had today.
Okay. Well, that's a good bit of information. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, we are now at council business. We are at the second consideration for ordinance 2020-004, an ordinance amending Title 16, allowing planning commission to extend the maximum number of days that a campground unit may be rented to the same person. We've heard this once. We've passed it through. This is the second consideration, so we need a motion on this. Am I right? So let's do a roll call on this one, if that's okay.
Do we need the motion first?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like.
I move to approve ordinance 2020-004.
Okay, I have a first and I have a second. Okay, and if you could give us a roll call vote on that.
Yes. Counselor Dunsmuir,
Yes.
Counselor Gates,
Yes.
Counselor Hughes,
Yes.
Counselor Lidkey,
Yes.
Counselor Strobel,
Yes.
Counselor Tenbush,
Yes.
Mayor Drinkling.
Yes, thank you, Sadie. Okay, we are at the OLCC annual renewals. So I'll hand it back over to you, Denise.
This is usually under consent agenda, but since it was the first time for many of you, I thought we'd pull it down in case you had any questions on it. We get a list. It used to be each individual company had to come in with their license, arrange to get it on the agenda. And a few years ago, the state wisely decided they would be the ones to send all the OLCC licenses in your city at one time, so that doesn't put the burden on the companies to do it. We always check to see if anyone has had violations. There have been no violations in the last year for any of these people. And so we usually, as a blanket, usually if there's a violation, we do pull that one out and discuss it. But we have also had OLCC come talk to the council, and we might have them do that again this year, since we do have a lot of new people since we've had them last, to tell us, really, it doesn't care even if we say don't do it. They're going to do an investigation and they're going to do what they want to. So, but we can still, if we felt like a business was in violation a lot, we could say that we did not want them to have a permit. So, but no one has been in violation. And so our recommendation is to move to allow all the businesses to continue their OLCC.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, how many do we have at this point?
I don't know. Let me take a look. There was quite a long list, but I did not count them.
The number's at the bottom. It's 23.
Oh,
23.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jill. All right, 23. Wow. That's a lot of liquor.
That's stores and everything.
Yeah.
Stores have to have OLCC. It's not
Sure.
just bars, but it's everyone that is required to have there's all different types of licenses.
Okay, great. All right, so what do you need at this point? Just
a motion to
Denise, if they do nothing,
yeah.
You guys don't have to do anything if you want to
They
approve.
all get it anyway, so we really don't need anything.
Okay, great. Well, we appreciate that.
Unless you were
update.
objecting to one, that was it.
Yeah, no, we're
Okay.
fine. All right, thank you on that one. And then the last I have on here is one by Joel. It's a council computer equipment purchase. What is this?
I basically, one of the things I wanted to bring up, and I found out recently that the tablets are pretty new. But something that I would like to have us look into is having tablets that have a built-in cellular connection that's paid for by the city. Because, for example, when I was out doing the tour, I would have loved to take notes and stuff I can push out from the tablet back into like a like an online thing or look stuff up on the tablet's web page there. But I would have had to hotspot my phone, and it would have been kind of just a pain in the butt. So I think it's something that we need to look at for when we get equipment, especially if we get new equipment for the counselors. It would be great actually to have to have a laptop that we can work with. But if we have a tablet, at least something that has a mobile connection. So because I know, for example, I'll be out moving around a lot trying to get information on stuff to help, better the town and inspecting things where I can. And so having something which has a mobile connection built into it and that's paid for by the city, I think is a fair ask for counselors. So, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's, we need good equipment to be out there doing what we need to do. And we should be in our city moving around and inspecting things and trying to get involved in all the different aspects of the city. So we're well aware. So.
Okay. Is this something that we can extend the ones we have, or is this something we would have to purchase totally new units to be able to accommodate?
From my experience, it's something that we would need to. These don't have a 3G cellular or a 4G cellular connection built into them, and you have to have the model that usually has it. So, and it would be just as painful to like even assign like a hotspot. So I think it's just something that when we look at purchasing new equipment, that should be pushed into the plan. So I mean, these are only purchased say you said 6 months.
1 year ago, I think it was.
About a year, a little over a year ago.
Okay. And how often do we normally upgrade the tablets?
Well, this was the first time we purchased them, actually.
Okay.
Before you guys had some old laptops, but I think the council decided that they would have preferred iPads to the laptop, and that's why we
I
decided.
love that laptop. Don't disparage that laptop.
Yeah, I honestly would take a laptop over the tablet or any day because like all the emails are on there and stuff, and I'm trying to type with this little Bluetooth keyboard and it like delays. I'm always having to go back and retype it, and so
Well, and
but
as someone who tried to give presentations and graphs and charts and posters and flyers and all of that, I was so much more productive on that laptop than I am on this iPad. I do not understand iPads. I cannot make a PowerPoint presentation on this thing to save my life.
I am definitely not. I'm definitely not an Apple person. I'm definitely a PC person. Like right now, I'm using my PC at home, and I had to connect through all that because I can't use the tablet. It's painful for me. So
Well, I guess we're to a conclusion that would say that next time we're into the purchasing mode, maybe we look at some different type systems that will work better for the council. And I think staff would be okay with that as well. So we're good for a little bit of time here on these. But that's something we want to look at as more ease to use.
do we have a normal upgrade plan?
Now that you've had both, I think then you're better able to say what you prefer when we go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so at this point.
Yep. And do we have a normal upgrade plan built into our IT plan for the city or anything? Might be something to put on our list to talk about during the retreat. So that's what I do for my industry. I'd love to be able
We
to.
do have an upgrade plan for the computers in our system and servers, but not for the council work.
I'd be interested to see how that works and stuff. So could you possibly send that to me? I'd be curious to look at it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. It sounds like that we'll be looking into the future of maybe getting some different equipment at some point, but I don't know exactly when that'll be, but we'll definitely look into that. So I appreciate that. Okay. We are now at citizen and community group comment.
We had Katie wanted to add.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Katie. I almost passed you up. Go ahead. Why don't you take it away on this one?
It sounds good. So really, I'm just here to have a conversation with the council about whether or not this is something that we would want to solidify as like an exception to a rule in the future. So I don't have full background on this. I was really hoping that Denise would probably step in at a certain point in my explanations of it, because I'm not 100% sure where the separation is. But anyways, our city code, our municipal code, is very specific about where people can put signs. And I know this comes up every political season when you see like those lawn signs and where those can go and whether they be on city property or city easements and all of that stuff. I know outside of the political season, if you want to use those areas, I think there's some sort of a permit fee or something like that. I know that there have also been private businesses in our town who have expressed interest in utilizing those spaces in the past. And I could see some potential conflicts that would arise from private industry or from private businesses using the city right of ways or the city easements. That being said, though, what I was referring to earlier today about the volunteer firefighter program that is just getting up and running, we're trying to get people applying, trying to, you know, really capitalize on all that energy that might be left over from all of the citizens who stepped up from the wildfires in September. That being said, if we could, or if our fire board could, as a public entity of our city that is providing public services, if they could utilize those city easements or that city property to advertise for their cause that is ultimately going to benefit the public, whether or not that would be something that we could allow. Again, knowing that there have been private businesses expressing interest in using the same property in the past. I just wanted to open it up for discussion. For me, I do see a major separation between the public sector and the private sector. And if we just kept it to, hey, if you are a public entity within our city, whether it be one of the smaller committees like the Arts Commission or the Performing Arts Group, if you're a public entity like that that exists in our city, in this case, I'm asking on behalf of the fire board, but I think that in the future, this request could come from any other group that's within our city. And I think that if we were to say as a council that those types of groups had access to or were allowed to utilize that city-owned property and those city easements to put in signs, even on a temporary basis, to promote the volunteer fire program or the summer celebration or whatever might need to be advertised in the future, would that be an exception that we would want to allow? So that's the history. Denise, do you have anything to add to what I was just saying?
Yeah, I think this is coming from the fire department wanted to place their board, their reader board on our property for volunteers. And in the past, and it's been pretty recent, we've had a business, I wish she was still on because she could address this, but complain because she doesn't think it's fair that because we would let the fire department would pull that up when they were having some kind of events and put it on our property where now the new parking lot is. And she didn't think it was fair and that she was going to come put her sign there if signs were allowed on public property. So that's when we started, really tightening up on no signs, that we wouldn't allow any signs on our properties, because then you'd have to make that decision who. If you guys want to change the code to allow nonprofits, I wouldn't say in the right of ways, because there's a reason you don't put signs in the right of ways, because they interfere with traffic and stuff. But on our public properties, which would mean like City Hall property and our parking lot and the library, then certainly we can look at doing that. So yeah, we're open to that. We hated to say that, but when we've been pressured from other, their thing is, if we need a cook, we can't put a sign out there, and because we're a business and we need a cook. The fire department is a business. They need volunteers or they need something. Why do they get to advertise out there and we can't advertise for a cook there?
Which is one of the reasons why when I throw the suggestion out there, my main suggestion is, if we're going to do this, should we have that separation between the private sector and the public sector? Because really, that would be,
and that's where the discussion should be.
Yeah, Joel, did you have something you want to add in there?
Yeah, I totally agree with Katie. For something such as the fire department, and I'm sorry for some people who own businesses, you can't really compare a public service or a public benefit type of position over a business for profit. So I think very much so that we should allow school district or the fire department and those type of public benefit type of positions to put their signs out there. I don't know if I should go as near as far as a nonprofit, because that can try to take off on its own area. But I would say for public, like a publicly owned or publicly benefited, if they receive tax dollars, that'd probably, maybe, I don't know how you would do that. You have to talk to maybe the city lawyer to word that out. But yes, I think we're going in the right direction. But as far as where to put them, I would put that to maybe have the was it the city planning board, so the commission, to identify places in town where we allow those to be at, and then come back with those recommendations, and we say, yeah, sure.
Hey, I have an idea. I don't know if you'd be in agreement, but it falls in the same category. We have the old sign by Timber Park. Who owns that property right there where we have the old sign where we put the letters into the slots?
That we own that property.
Okay,
That's
my
city property.
my idea would be that we in the future look at a reader board like most cities have that can be used by these public entities such as the fire department, the city, or whatever the case may be, that has readers that come across it. It captures everybody's attention. We already own the property, and the old pole putting the letters into the slot thing is kind of weak and outdated.
Well, Mayor Drinkwine, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't want you to go too far away from that point you were just making, the reader board. So out of curiosity, why haven't we purchased the one for City Hall that we've been talking about for 2 years?
Where would that be placed at?
At City Hall.
Like,
Yeah,
I know,
we
but
have
City Hall is
not-
a big property. We're at City Hall.
Either at City Hall property or over in the new parking lot that we just built.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
those
the
are the
parking
two
lot might be a
locations.
good spot. Yeah.
But we've been
Those are-
talking about
Well,
it for
let
a
Denise
time.
answer the question here.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
What is the process in that
So
right
we
now?
were gonna budget for that in this coming budget year. We had the other sign done and now this one, and our plan is to put it in the parking lot. Either, I think right across from City Hall
Okay,
is what our plan is.
so I think that's
Why
going to
not
answer
both?
this question pretty simple for us.
Why
I don't
not
think
both?
we have to beat it to death at this point, considering that it's going to be up there anyway. And I
Yeah,
think it
I've
can be
actually
used.
talked to the Baptist church about theirs and who did theirs and that, because it's kind of a lower one, but it's still really visible. So
Okay, good, Paul.
So what does that do to Katie's request then? If we move forward with that, does that kind of satisfy what we were discussing with Katie, or does that
No.
still lead to more discussion?
I think
Not
that-
really.
I
I mean,
like
okay,
something
so
like
first of all,
council.
reader board, yay, I love the idea. We've been
Yeah.
talking about it for 2 years, which is great. I'm glad that we're getting closer to having it budgeted in our next fiscal year. That's awesome. But what is the harm is my question. What is the harm in telling public sector entities within our city, whether it be fire board, school board, performing arts, arts commission, whatever it be, what would be the harm in telling them, hey, if you're really trying to advertise something, you can also advertise on land that is considered public land, where we would otherwise tell a private business owner, you cannot advertise there because it is public land.
Yeah, so I will bring that change to you guys on Sunday so we can get it scheduled.
Thank
Great,
you.
Joel, did you have another question?
I was just gonna say, if we could bring some sort of, I'm guessing it's gonna amend our ordinances or something, bring
Yeah.
what the amendment would be, and then we'll go from there. So
All right, great.
that's what I was gonna recommend, but she said it before I did.
All right, any more from the fire board, Katie, that you'd like to add to this?
It looks like Justin has something he'd like to add.
Okay, Justin?
So through all this, are we even gonna consider a possibility of letting businesses put up any kind of signs if they're hiring or anything? Or are we just gonna throw that out completely? I guess what my thought is, and I don't own a business or anything, but we talk about taxes and we talk about government and the benefits that they should have and everything. But it's the businesses that also pay the taxes to, the ones who on all that kind of stuff. So I could see where that, like, my concern is just that that one lady who's already complained, right? Like she does bring up a good point. She does pay taxes. She does help with all of that. So it's hard to just say, all right, if you're government, you're good to go. If you're not, too bad, so sad. You know what I mean? Like I wish there was a process that we could include them in a sense. And maybe there's not. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with Katie. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Katie.
Counselor, my only argument back to that person who would bring that up as a potential issue would be that the business owner who is paying those taxes is ultimately benefiting from whatever group is going to be utilizing that space. That business owner that pays those taxes is benefiting from the fire department. They're going to be benefiting from the schools. They're benefiting from any of the other services that would be advertised on that space too. And their tax dollars are going to those entities. So that's what my argument would be.
All right, Joel, go ahead.
An alternative to look at that would be, again, push it to the city planning commission to come back and find some spots in town that we would be willing to, as a city, allow a permit or something to be purchased to put signs there for a period. So it's still controlled, so we don't get people out of control and just anyone putting signs there. It's permitted, planned. We have certain areas we know they're going to go for certain time periods. Give them that option to have it, and we can look at exactly, if it's for hiring or something like that, we can maybe, because it's job revenue, we can look at maybe waiving the cost. But if it's for something else, we can look at those type of things so businesses have options. But we just kind of put some sort of control on it or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Jerry, go ahead.
My only, and this is just my own ignorance, would that be more a planning commission thing, or would that be more a chamber of commerce thing? That's my thought, because I'm not sure. So just
I would
asking
think
the question.
Yeah, I would think planning because that's where we're going to put a lot of things we put throughout the city, and actually, we don't want things like you said in the right of way. That's why I was thinking planning, but I'm new, so.
Okay, Justin, do you have anything more to add to it?
No, I'm good.
No. Okay, great. Well, that's a nice thought all the way around. I think there's a little bit to discuss there. I would have to agree. I think the planning commission over the chamber would be the one to decide that, Jerry. It's nothing against the idea. I think both have a lot to play into it, but the planning commission would definitely be a part of that. But this is definitely a discussion I think we need to talk more on. I think it would be good to have our public entities be able to advertise for their things, considering that the taxes all go to these people to make our city functional. So I don't know. It's definitely out there. I think we should all think on it. Maybe bring this up a little bit more in discussion when we have our retreat on Sunday.
Yeah,
I think this is something you could add to that pile, because it sounds like we need just a little bit more on that before I'm comfortable. But Katie, I appreciate you bringing that, because that's good thing. Joel, you got one more thing to say there?
I just have a question. I did have something else to bring up. I don't know if it's best in the comment section for counselors, or if you should add something else. I'm not sure. It had to do with the Pepe's Tacos thing. I want to see what happened there. So I don't know when to bring that up.
Why don't you save it for comment, because I'm just about there, and
Sounds
we'll get out a citizen. Okay. So is there any more in the this particular area that we're talking about? Was that it on this one? Okay. So now I am at the mayor council reports and comments. Is that where we're at? I'm lost here for a minute. Okay. I will start off with
Citizen and community group comments.
Yeah, citizen
Oh, we're
first.
there? Okay.
Yeah,
So do we
there's
have
no
any more
one with
lined
their
up?
hand up.
Yeah, I don't see anybody.
No one.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So again,
Somebody just raised their hand.
all right, great. Who would that be?
Peter, I'll bring him in.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, my internet's really slow, so I turned my video off.
Well, that's fine. Peter, can you hear us? He's still got his mic off.
Sadie, can you turn it on just so we can see?
There we go.
It just came on. So
Hi, my name is Lynn Peterson, and I just have a question. I am in the process of getting a food cart up and running here, hopefully at Estacada here. And I am curious if there's any talks or consideration out there to build a food cart pod for the city of Estacada, like Happy Valley, Sandy, and Oregon City are all building, so that we could have a nice public area for people to come down and have multiple choices of different cuisine.
That's
I
a
can
good
answer
idea.
that.
Denise, go ahead.
Yeah. We have had a couple of business people come in and inquire about that, but they have not followed through with it. But if you have an area that is privately owned that you know can work with the property owner to do that, we would welcome that. We do have it in our code that those are allowed, conditional use. So, and that would be a great thing to have.
Okay, and then how would I find out, or who would I contact to find out like who owns the land to get information or the property from the owner?
Yeah, so you can call us and we can help you through that, or you can call Clackamas County directly and they can tell you who the owner is and their contact information.
Okay, perfect. Well, this is something that I'm kind of passionate about, so
Yeah,
I think I will keep following through on this.
All right, Lid, we
Thank you.
appreciate your call and thank you.
I'm just kind of curious what kind of card it's coming in. I like new food.
It's totally different.
We like different. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. All right. Do I have anybody else on the line, Sadie?
No, I don't see anybody else.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're moving to mayor and council reports and comments. So I think this would be good. We'll start off, Jerry, with you.
I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out tonight, and thanks to everybody that was in attendance. And as always, staff, you're amazing. We couldn't do this without you. You people are awesome and amazing. So thanks to everybody for their wonderful comments tonight. It was really good. I didn't have to talk a lot. I was really happy. So thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jerry. Charity, let's go with you.
Yeah, well, kind of what Jerry was saying, just want to thank staff, especially for putting together the packets every council meeting. It's great. Easy to follow. Knock on wood, this was a fairly easy meeting compared to previous meetings. But so appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Excited to go over some things during the retreat. Hopefully we can iron out some things and really start to develop a plan for the coming year. And I look forward to it this weekend. So yeah, thanks for everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Charity. Paul.
Do we have a time and a place for the retreat? I don't know if I've seen that yet.
yeah, it's 1 to 5.
Okay, and are we doing virtual again?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, all right. Well, that's my main thing is when we're getting together. But 1 to 5, that sounds good. But yes, thank you.
And maybe
staff.
we'll have some kind of treats delivered midway through to your houses or something.
Well, that'd be decent. That'd be tricky.
All right, I'll show up then.
All right.
But
Joel.
yes, thanks everyone. I appreciate it. Good
Thank you,
session
Paul.
tonight.
All right. Joel, go ahead.
All right. I'm kind of curious. There's been a lot of talk and questions about the Pepe's taco thing, and so I kind of want to see what happened with there and how we can get that fixed for them.
Sure. So about over a year ago, they put up new awnings without a building permit. And we contacted them immediately, but the discussion between them, it took a long time. They wouldn't answer us. And so after 6 months, we wrote a letter and they said, okay, we'll work on it. And finally we had a meeting probably about 3 or 4 months ago with Jose. And, well, in the meantime, they had tried to apply for a permit, but they didn't have the right drawings. And then they got those, but the covers were too large. They had to meet a wind shear factor and they didn't do that the way they were installed. So we did work with a local engineer and tried to see if he could figure something out, and he really couldn't. So finally, then we met with Jose again and said, we want to work with you here. And he goes, well, we just need time to take them down because we're going to sell them and, and to get our money back because they were Costco coverings. And then they were going to come, they're working right now on their plans for a new covering that to get their building permit for that will work. And I think the local engineer is the one working with them. So, yeah, I know there's been a lot, I think Sean called me today. There's a lot of different rumors around that the city's trying to get rid of and even I'm kind of disappointed because even Jose has put some stuff online that from my point of view was not accurate, but yeah, we're working with them and they will have those back up as soon as they can get those back up. I was surprised. I hadn't noticed that they'd taken out the seats and everything till just the other day. I knew they
Yeah,
had
there's
taken
nothing
the
there.
coverings down, but
I mean, it's in the middle of winter, and those were something that people used to eat there. And there's a lot of other awnings and stuff in the areas for people that are eating outside. Can we get them some sort of temporary permit or variance or something to allow them to have something out there?
oh
Because
yeah, they could come to us with that. We had approved, of course, the size, they'd have a temporary permit can only be a certain size, but yeah. I don't know if they're interested. I think they just want to get it worked out and something put back up. So,
okay. So this is
that's what's going on with
and
them.
taken care of. That's what's important. So,
And we are in constant contact with them. So
awesome. And so, yep, I appreciate that. I do want to, just like Jerry said, I'd like to say thank you to you guys. I know you guys, I bug you throughout the week. Sadie, thanks for putting up with me. I know you printed up a packet. I never got a chance to connect with you for that. But I'm constantly sending you guys things. I really appreciate it, and all the counselors and everything. I'm learning the process here, so I appreciate you guys being patient with me as I stumble through it. So, thanks, you guys, and have a good weekend and good week.
Thank you, Joel. Justin.
Yeah, so I wanted to give a shout out to a local business. Actually, they just built a building out in that new industrial park. It's M2 Integration. They're an electrician business out there that employ, I don't know, roughly 28 employees or something. But I got to go out there with the owner, Joe Berman, and tour his facility. Pretty dang impressive what he built out there. And I just felt like I needed to, one, let you guys know, and two, kind of give them a shout out. It's nice to see those guys coming in and spending money in Estacada. So appreciate those guys. City, thank you. And counselors, thank you guys. That's all I got.
Thank you. That was good. Thank you. Katie.
Thanks to everybody. Lots happened in the last month. Something that I really don't want to fall under the radar. So I'm going to use this opportunity under public record to formally myself as Counselor Katie Dunsmuir call for the resignation of Commissioner Mark Scholl. I will be drafting a formal letter and I will be sending it to the council probably sometime this week, asking for your signature if you choose to sign. I did not want to bring this to the council unless somebody else wanted to bring this to the council. I wanted to do this as an individual. I do believe in the good in people, and I like to give people an opportunity to learn from mistakes, which is one of the reasons why I usually wait to make decisions or announcements like this. But in the last couple of weeks, I have not seen any evidence that the commissioner is trying to learn from his mistakes, nor does he feel any remorse for the statements that he's made in the past, statements that were very intolerant and very transphobic and racist and Islamophobic. And I do not support those statements. And I am very embarrassed to be represented by someone in the county that I was born and raised in who really shares those views, and in the last couple of weeks has not actually done anything to fix those statements. So that being said, I wanted to take this opportunity under public record to formally express that I will be calling for his resignation, and will be offering the opportunity to other Estacada city councilors to join me in that call. So that's what I wanted to say today. That and tomorrow is my daughter Lacey's 5th birthday. So as a matter of public record, happy birthday to my daughter Lacey. Thanks, you guys.
Well, thank you, Katie. That was inspiring. I guess it's my turn now. I just want to reach out to all the citizens. I want to thank you for giving us a tranquil and peaceful city council meeting with no, how do I put this? With no hatred or, you know, I don't even know. At this point, I'm just thankful that we had a meeting that I consider to be educational and learning without strife. For me, that was a moment. These are the moments I hope we always have. I want to thank all you counselors for the jobs you do. You are reaching out. You're listening to the people. That's what you were put here for. City staff, you're doing a great job. You support us 100%. I know at times that can be very difficult and you probably need therapy, but we appreciate you. We haven't forgotten about you and we'll always be there for you. So thank you. And thank everyone tonight for joining us for a nice, calm, wonderful meeting. I appreciate you. So thank you. And this meeting is adjourned.